So it won't come to anyone's surprise in here if I say to you that this little device has pretty much revolutionized the way that we interact with the internet. Right? We all know that it's completely changed how we communicate, how we travel, how we shop, how we digest news. I mean, it's even overnight transformed the way we date. But before I share my personal journey with you, I wanted to talk about how mobile to us is maybe a bit like oxygen. It's essential to our daily lives, but a bit like oxygen, we take it for granted until it's taken away from us. But there's millions of people, actually billions of people out there who have never been online and have never had access to free information. My name is Julian Pistone. I'm a senior strategist within the SMB team here at Google. So this is my own personal journey with the online world. And it started 16 years ago. So that's me at my 15th birthday. And that's my first computer. Let me ask you, who here remembers the first times that they went online? Yeah? Do you remember the feeling of it? Now, unlike my own personal journey with the online world, many people in places like India or Brazil or South Africa or Tanzania, they haven't gone through this lengthy journey. They haven't started on the desktop and then gone onto the laptop. And then like me, where I've actually only recently started spending more time on my mobile phone, well, they're skipping all of that. And they're going straight to mobile. And so what this means is that suddenly you have this huge amount of new people coming online for the first time. In fact, over the next 4 years, 1.6 billion new users are going to be accessing the online for the first time. And they will be discovering the power and the magic and the scale of the online world for the first time in their life. And it's all going to happen on their mobile phones.
My name is Steinacker, and I'm a strategic partner manager here at Google. And I currently look after one of the probably most exciting and promising mobile regions in the world, which is Africa. In 2001, we only had about 25 million mobile phones on the continent. And within a very short period of time, just 12 years actually, that number has risen to 650 million mobile phones. Now, Julian and I both have lived and worked in Africa in the last 10 to 15 years at various times. You can see ourselves here. This is myself in Kenya, working as a product development manager there for mobile banking. And we were talking to some farmers there to really understand how they're using their mobile phones, because you can imagine it's quite different probably than myself or you would use your mobile phone. And on the other side, you'll see my wife at our traditional wedding back in Nigeria about 2 years ago. Now, Africa has not only become one of the fastest growing regions in the world when it comes to mobile, but it has really also become a cradle for creative innovation, if you want. And as Toby Shapshak said in his own TED Talk, Africa is where real innovation occurs. And it is real because it solves actual real problems. And the mobile phone and the mobile technology built on it is really just a catalyst, if you want, that makes many of these innovations possible. So today, next couple of minutes, Julian and I are going to share a few stories with you. And these are stories that will illustrate to you that the mobile phone can not only change the way we maybe communicate, interact, or even date, as Julian explained, but can actually change people's lives in other places around the world.
So let me introduce you to two friends of mine that I've known for actually longer than 10 years now. So this is Kevin, and Kevin lives in, this was Kevin actually, he's a bit older now, he's 18. And Kevin lives in rural Kenya. And this is his cousin Samuel, who lives about 12 hours away in the capital, Nairobi. This is about us back in, I think it was like 2007, that's his late grandmother, and that's Kevin's house. Now, Kevin has been orphaned for quite a number of years now. So his cousin Samuel pays for part of Kevin's school fees and also sends him pocket money. But Kevin doesn't have a bank account. And actually, neither does Samuel. So just imagine not having a bank account. Where would you store your cash? And what if you didn't have a credit card or a debit card? How would you pay your bills, or how would you send money to your friends and family? And you wouldn't have a credit history, right? So where would you get a loan? From a loan shark? Now, their situation actually isn't unique. And roughly about 80% of sub-Saharan Africans are unbanked. This is Gambia. Please roll the video.
We have about 250,000 people living here, and there is no bank. I mean, you have people selling food. That is a young lady selling potatoes on her head. They all need a place to keep their money. They all need access to capital, small capital, to grow their business. That is a taxi driver. At the end of the day, the sales from the taxi has to be kept. When this car gets old, he has to replace this car. Where is the capital coming from? So I see tons of opportunities here so that we can work our way out of poverty, not through charity, but through hard work.
And so the opportunity he's talking about is that of mobile money. And mobile money literally means sending money via a simple text message. And mobile money has been one of the most transformative innovations targeted specifically at the bottom of the pyramid. So even though Samuel and Kevin may not have access to a bank, they have phones. And it's through these phones that today they and millions of Africans transact, send money, and pay their bills. And this is how it looks. So actually, it's very easy for Samuel to send Kevin pocket money and to pay for his school fees on time. Easier and actually much quicker than what it takes me with my big international bank.
Now, who here could imagine living without electricity for 1 week, or maybe even just a single day? And I certainly couldn't, and I think most of you would agree. Now, the lack of electricity and unreliability of electricity really poses a major challenge for many areas in Africa. And this is, by the way, both rural and urban. And this is a photograph I took in northern Tanzania. And, I mean, you can't really see much. Maybe to put a bit of context into it, this is in the middle of a fairly busy marketplace. And let me introduce you to Beatrice. And Beatrice is also from Tanzania. And in the past, she relied on a nearby shop to charge her mobile phone. And she uses candles and kerosene for lighting. And this is how Beatrice's children used to do their homework. And I think we can all agree it's not really the sort of conducive environment you would want your children to study and grow up in. Now, thanks to the mobile phone, in East Africa, there are companies like Mobisol that are providing solar energy. And solar energy made possible by the mobile phone. And this is how it works. You would install a fairly small panel on top of the roof, and it's connected to a battery inside the house. And the company sets it all up for you wherever you live in the country. In Beatrice's case, that small panel you can see there actually generates enough electricity to light up 3 of her rooms. It actually powers the TV and the fridge. And the best thing about it, she can actually earn a little bit of extra income by charging all her neighbors' phones right now. So that's really the sweetest thing for her, to be honest. Now, you might wonder, though, how does she pay for it? Because clearly it can't be free. And as in the video, the gentleman mentioned as well, they're not looking for charity. And this is not about charity. This is about innovation and entrepreneurship. So how does she pay for it? She actually pays for it, you could have guessed already, I guess, through her mobile phone, through the payment platform that Julian described, on a monthly basis. And the best thing for her about this is she actually can decide, together with the company, on a payment plan based on what she can afford on a monthly basis. So let's have a look how the mobile phone has changed Beatrice's life and actually other families' lives as well in Kenya. Please roll the video.
Did you know that based on the average household income, Ghana is the most expensive country in the world in which to hold a funeral? These are called fantasy coffins. And fantasy coffins represent something about the dead person. So it could be the personality or their profession or an interest they have. So if you're a shoemaker, you may get a shoe coffin. If you're a devout, you may get a Bible. You can guess what this fellow was, right? Or if you're a fisherman, you may get a fish. But lavish coffins aside, funerals in Ghana, like in many countries in Africa, they're a big deal. They're a true celebration of life. But in a region where death rates, mortality rates are much higher, and only 2% of the population has life insurance, this can be absolutely crippling to families. And families spend up to often half of their yearly income to bury one loved one. So, also, many don't have life cover. So this combination of having health cover and not having life insurance means that millions are completely exposed to the financial burdens of, say, an accident or an illness. But today, and again thanks to the mobile phone, you can buy, in Ghana and several other countries in Africa, very simple and low-cost insurance directly via a basic feature phone. So even like a basic Nokia that has SMS technology. So if you're a family, you can use this technology to cover yourself up from debt. And if you're a builder, actually, sorry, before I go, I wanted to show you this as well. So this is a Coke bottle, right? It's crazy. And can you see the plane at the back there as well? So going back to the technology, if you are a builder and a job comes in just for one day, this is not atypical, right? There's no long-term contracts, and you get in a job just for one day, you can cover yourself just with a simple text message and just for 24 hours using your basic phone.
So these are some of the tech hubs and incubators that are currently sprawling up all across Africa, from Lagos to Accra, from Nairobi to Cape Town. You'll find these in all of these places. I think overall, there are currently over 120 tech hubs in Africa. And most people, I would at least guess here today as well, wouldn't really know about them. And if you're working with these folks on the ground, you can really feel an absolute excitement there of what they can achieve with mobile technology, most importantly. But we, of course, also want to be realistic today, and not everything is rosy. There are still many challenges. Network coverage is one. There are still many political barriers in many cases. The lack of funding is a big problem for entrepreneurs on the ground. And very importantly, actually, the very high price points for the consumer. And let me ask you, how much would you think you would have to pay today for 1 month of internet in your respective countries? How much would you think? Just a quick shout, maybe. 20 euros, absolutely. That I would have said 20, maybe 25 euros, right? That actually should be roughly exactly. Now, what if I tell you that in Zambia, if you were to buy 1 month of internet today, and based, of course, on GDP per capita, you would have to pay the equivalent of 500 euros. So think about having to pay 500 euros based on your income here in Europe just for having internet. So you can imagine this is extremely expensive, and many, many people just simply can't afford it. So these are a lot of problems the entrepreneurs are facing. And to put this into perspective, or the implications of this is, if we compare two similar countries, or at least similar in size, Ghana and Australia, you can see that the internet penetration in Australia, to no surprise, I think, is roughly 90 to 95%, whereas in Ghana, we only have about 10-15% overall internet penetration. So publicizing or using maybe mobile technology and internet as a sort of panacea, if you want, for African development, or in fact for any country's development, would certainly be a bit of an exaggeration.
But nonetheless, think about the examples that we told you, and think about the creative innovation and the financial inclusion that mobile has already triggered in some communities. And now imagine the power and the transformative impact that mobile could have if the internet was as widespread as the actual device itself. Now, reliable internet fosters entrepreneurship, it fosters innovation, it fosters economic growth. So it doesn't matter whether you work in one of those tech hubs that we've just seen, or if you're joining the online world for the first time. affordable and quality internet is absolutely crucial. And there's one example that we think really perfectly encapsulates just how powerful that marriage is between the internet and the mobile device, and that's political activism in North Africa.
Right, and this story is actually about one of my friends. This one is. This is Skander. And Skander is a political activist and blogger in Tunisia. And who here has heard of the 2010 uprising in Tunisia, the one that led to the Arab Spring? I think most of you, yes, perfect. Let me ask you though, has anybody heard of the 2008 uprising 2 years earlier in Tunisia? One hand. Two. That's what I thought, exactly. So how come that nobody or everybody heard about the 2010 uprising, but nobody really actually knows that 2 years earlier the same sort of demonstrations, or very similar at least, happened in Tunisia? When the second wave of demonstrations hit Tunisia in 2010, Skander and other activists were on the streets demonstrating. They were recording videos. They were sharing the videos. I think we've all seen some of them at the time. Activists were using their mobile phones to organize themselves in a very efficient way, using Twitter and the likes. And information was spreading very, very fast. So how come that in 2008, nobody heard about people demonstrating in Tunisia, but just 2 years later, the same demonstrations were able to trigger a revolution in the country and actually in the region? So let me tell you a few things that happened. In 2010, the government had just introduced 3G connectivity in the country. Smartphone penetration had skyrocketed that same year. And actually, many social media services provided very simple solutions that users with very basic phones, so the likes of Nokia and so on, the feature phones, were able to access as well. So all of these factors are related to the mobile phone and mobile technology. Probably not all just them, but they were definitely contributed in a major way of not just having some impact on some people's lives in a single country, but they were actually able to change the face of the country and really trigger a revolution in the entire region.
So we're going to walk off the stage in less than a minute, but we'd like to finish off today with one last story. So we're still in Tunisia, but it's now 2 years after the Arab Spring. And because of new tumults and political unrest, the government has again decided to stop all public gatherings, including fans, football fans, from football stadiums. We're going to show you how a Tunisian football club reacted. Please roll the video. Ladies and gentlemen, the power of mobile.
On sent la froideur, on sent le silence mourant.
Les supporters donnent 50% de la motivation.
On rencontre une équipe qui est mythique du championnat tunisien.
Un match capital, c'est le match de la saison.
C'est qu'on gagne dimanche.
نسمع في الآلاف من الجماهير رغم أن المدارج فارغة.
البداية الطيبة اللي كانوا قاموا بها الناس متواجدين في ملعب شادي الزويتر، الجمهور عندنا
في الراس بجماهير حمام الأنف نجموا يتفاعلوا مع المباراة أي يشجعوا من ديارهم.
الشعباني على اليمين كرة عادية حسن الحرباوي والحرباوي يسدد الهدف الأول. فضل جماهير النادي الرياضي حمراء في حقق انتصار ثمين.
C'était magnifique pour moi et c'est une ambiance extraordinaire.
Pour mes supporters, je suis fier d'eux, je sais qu'ils me supportent et là beaucoup, moi je suis fier. Eux, ils peuvent être fiers de nous, non?